I used to believe that being married to a man like Marcus meant security. Not love, never love, just security. He was a business consultant who traveled 3 days a week, came home every Thursday night, and kissed me softly on the forehead. He brought our son Micah a new Hot Wheels car from some airport gift shop and made love to me like he was half awake. I let that be enough because I didn't want to know what it meant when a man stops asking how your day was. I should have listened to the silence in our bed, the routine in his hands, the hollow echo when he said I love you without meeting my eyes. But I didn't, until the flowers came. On our 10th anniversary, Marcus was supposed to be in Phoenix, but a florist showed up at my front door, holding a glass vase with 6 deep red roses and a card that read, 10 years, baby. I laughed. At first, I really did laugh. But then I called him. He didn't answer. Not for an hour, not that night, not the next morning. And then I did what I never ever thought I would do. I opened his laptop. That was the beginning of the unraveling, of the truth, and of the revenge I never thought I'd be capable of. It took me 20 minutes to figure out his password. Micah's birthday, of course, 0809. He was that predictable, which in hindsight is laughable, because the man I'd married was anything but predictable, just well-practiced in performance. The first thing I noticed was a calendar invite. It was marked Family Dinner Savannah. We live in Charlotte. Savannah is 4 hours away. I opened the calendar note. Inside it said, Dinner with M and the kids, 7 p.m. Don't forget to bring Claire's ballet shoes. I have one child, a 5-year-old son. No daughters, no ballerinas. My hands started shaking. I opened his email next, but it was clean, too clean, as if it had been scrubbed recently. Only business threads and junk, nothing personal. So I checked his text messages through the desktop app. There she was, Emma, saved as home. The irony slapped me across the face. I read message after message, photos of a baby girl in a tutu, a boy who looked about 8, selfies of Marcus at his other home in Savannah. He was shirtless in bed, a woman curled against his chest. He told her he loved her. Every single night, told her he hated traveling, that the Charlotte job was wrapping up soon and he couldn't wait to come home permanently. He said he was tired of pretending. That's what I'd been reduced to, his part-time illusion. I sat there for nearly an hour, just reading, scrolling, shaking, numb. And then, out of nowhere, I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because my body didn't know what else to do. The grief hadn't hit yet. The anger was pacing in the hallway of my heart, waiting to be let in. But something else came first. An image. Me, driving to Savannah. Me, knocking on that woman's door. Me, smiling. Because sometimes revenge doesn't start with a scream, it starts with a smile. I didn't sleep that night. Micah asked me to lie next to him, like he always did when Marcus was gone, and I did. But I stared at the ceiling, listening to the soft hum of the nightlight and the rhythm of my son's breathing. He was the only thing that made me hesitate. The only reason I didn't drive down to Savannah that very night. But by 6 a.m., I had packed an overnight bag. Micah's grandmother, Marcus's mother, ironically, was more than happy to have him for the weekend. She adored Micah. She thought he was the perfect father. I kissed my son goodbye, told him I was going on a short trip for work, and then I drove. 4 hours and 13 minutes, according to Google Maps. It was the longest drive of my life. I thought of everything, what I'd say, what I'd do. Would I confront her, or would I tell her who I was? When I finally pulled up to the house, her house, I knew 2 things instantly. 1, it was nicer than mine, and 2, this woman had no idea I existed. There were pink flamingo lawn ornaments, chalk drawings on the driveway, a tricycle on the porch, and a welcome mat that said, "This house is full of love." It also said, "and dog hair." Marcus hated dogs. That was the third thing. I rang the doorbell. My heart was pounding so loud I could feel it in my teeth. I didn't have a plan. I only had rage. The door opened. She was beautiful. Not stunning, not glamorous, but warm. Her eyes were soft and brown. Her cheeks were freckled, her hair in a loose braid. She was holding a toddler in one arm and wiping her other hand on her jeans. Hi, can I help you? I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. Because in that moment, I saw something I wasn't prepared for. She looked tired, and happy, and completely innocent. And suddenly, I wasn't sure who I hated more, Marcus or myself. She shifted the toddler on her hip, glancing behind her briefly, before looking back at me. Are you okay? She asked, her voice gentle. You look pale. I laughed, but it came out wrong, more like a choke. I'm sorry, I said. This is going to sound really strange, but is this Marcus Harlan's house? Her smile faltered. Not fear, more confusion than anything. Yes, she said slowly, nodding. He's my husband. She asked. Can I ask, who are you? I looked at her, at the wedding ring, the baby, the tired hope in her eyes. I said the words before I even knew I'd decided to speak them. I'm his wife. Silence. Real silence. Not the awkward kind, not the confused kind. This was the silence that only happens in the moments before everything breaks. Her arms tightened around her daughter. She stepped back just slightly. I saw her brain trying to reject it, trying to rewrite it into something else. Maybe I meant ex-wife, maybe I was delusional. But then I opened my purse and showed her the photo of my wedding to Marcus. Me in white, him in a tux, and then one of Micah, asleep in his lap. Her lips parted, she looked like she might fall. She didn't scream, she didn't cry, she just whispered, "Oh my God." And then, as her daughter squirmed in her arms, she looked up at me again. Slower this time, clearer. You'd better come inside, she said. And just like that, the two wives of Marcus Harlan sat in a kitchen painted soft yellow, with baby formula on the counter and betrayal in the air. We were strangers, and we were sisters, and neither of us knew it yet. But the real revenge? That hadn't even started. She made tea. That's the absurd part. I always come back to how calmly she made tea. She boiled the water, pulled two mismatched mugs from the cabinet. She poured in a splash of almond milk and one sugar for herself, none for me. Like it was any other day. I watched her every move, but she was composed. I guess you want to tell me everything, she said finally, sliding my mug across the table. Or maybe you want to scream at me first. I shook my head. I don't think you knew. I didn't. She took a sip, but I'm not surprised either. That caught me off guard. She met my eyes. He's gone 3 days a week, every week. For work, supposedly. He never lets me call during the day. He always says he's in meetings. We met in New York, I said, 14 years ago. He was already living in Charlotte. I thought I was the one he left everything for. I met him 10 years ago, she replied, in Atlanta. He told me he had just moved down from DC. Said he was tired of the big city life. That was Marcus, always just moved, always escaping something. We sat in silence for a long time. Her daughter Claire came up and tugged on her sleeve. Emma scooped her into her lap, kissed her head, and whispered something that made the little girl giggle. And that's when it happened. The shift. I wasn't angry at Emma anymore. I was angry for her. Because suddenly, I saw my own life mirrored in hers. The same exhaustion, the same self-doubt, the same practiced smile when someone asked how we were doing. She was me, I was her. Just divided by geography. And a lie. He has no idea I'm here, I said quietly. Emma raised an eyebrow. Are you going to tell him? I looked her in the eye. No, we are. Her face changed, slowly. She leaned back in her chair, set Claire on the floor, and folded her arms. And what exactly do you have in mind? I smiled for real this time. Revenge, but not the kind you're thinking. I reached into my bag and pulled out a printed list. It was a log of every lie, every visit, every receipt, every email I had downloaded from his laptop. Her eyes widened as she scanned the first few lines. And just like that, the second wife became my first accomplice. We were done being fooled. Now, it was his turn. We didn't rush. That was the most important part. Marcus was smart, slippery, manipulative, the kind of man who could lie so smoothly it sounded like truth. If we rushed, he'd sense something, cover his tracks, slip away like he always had before. So we waited. Emma and I built our plan in whispers, over burner phones and late-night messages. We made a shared drive, filled it with every proof we could gather. We added photos, call logs, emails, calendar events, receipts, things I pulled from his laptop, things she dug up from his travel bags. It was sickening, watching the two timelines twist around each other. There were days he told me he was in Boston for work, while he was actually building a treehouse for her son Caleb. There were nights he held my hand during dinner and texted her from the bathroom. The text said, "Miss your body, miss your smell." I found a receipt from a jewelry store in Atlanta, a bracelet for his queen. Emma never got it. I did. On our 8th anniversary. That was the moment she stopped crying. Emma wasn't fragile. She had fire in her. And me? I'd been numb for years, but this woke something inside me I thought had died. I remembered who I was before Marcus. I didn't just want revenge anymore. I wanted truth, in front of everyone. So we got methodical. First, we synchronized calendars. We tracked every day he was on the road, every weekend he spent with either of us. We created a timeline of his movements. We cross-referenced it with credit card activity, cell tower pings, and toll receipts. Emma's cousin worked in IT for a private investigator. He got us records we didn't even know existed. Second, we rehearsed what we'd say, when we'd say it, how we'd drop it like a match. We'd drop it right onto the dry grass of his perfect little world. Because Marcus Harlan wasn't just a liar, he was a rising star. He was regional VP at a consultancy firm with political clients, chair of a nonprofit, a guest speaker at fundraisers with smiling photos. He had fake values and a perfect family man image. 2 perfect families, to be exact. And he had no idea we'd found each other. That was going to be his downfall, because men like Marcus build their kingdoms on control. And nothing shatters control like alignment. The alignment of 2 women he thought would never, ever speak. He thought we'd compete, but we were about to collaborate. And it started with a dinner invitation, to him, from both of us. We chose a Wednesday, midweek, just like his lies. Emma texted him the invite first. Casual, warm, thought we could have a quiet night in, just us. I'll cook, bring wine. He responded within 3 minutes. Said he missed her. That work was exhausting, that she was his peace. I texted him next. Micah's been asking about you. Want to do dinner Thursday instead of Friday? I'll make that salmon you like, he replied in 3 minutes. He said, of course, baby, I'll be there. And just like that, he committed to both nights. What he didn't know, they were the same night. He thought he'd be stepping into one version of his life. Instead, he was walking into the courtroom of our justice. We arrived early. I brought Micah to his grandma's again. Told him Mommy was helping a friend fix a surprise. Emma wore a soft blue dress he'd bought her last Christmas. She said she wanted him to recognize it, just for the sting. I wore red, not angry red, power red. Emma laughed when she saw me. You look like you're going to a boardroom battle. I am, I told her. He just doesn't know it yet. We set the table for 3. At exactly 6:56 p.m., we saw his car pull up. Emma went to the door. I stayed just out of sight. I heard him say, God, I missed you. Then came the sound of a kiss. Her cheek, not her lips. Then he stepped inside and saw me. It was like watching someone trip and fall in slow motion. His smile froze. His brain took a full 5 seconds to register my face. Then 5 more to realize what it meant. He looked at Emma, then back at me. What is this? He stammered. Emma gestured to the table. Dinner. Sit down. He didn't move. I think I deserve an answer, I said. He blinked, then took a step back toward the door. Emma blocked it. You leave, she said, and I call your boss. He went pale. I have emails, she added. Bank transfers, hotel records, all dated and backed up. You know what that kind of scandal does in your industry? He looked at me, desperate, almost pleading. Claire, this is insane. You don't understand. I laughed. Oh, I understand. I understand perfectly. You wanted to be 2 men in 2 cities. You got off on it. But you messed up, Marcus. You taught us to listen and believe. And now, I stepped closer. You taught us how to destroy you. He started sweating. Emma took her seat at the table, poured wine into her glass, then mine. Sit, she said again, and listen, because we're not done. And for the first time in his life, Marcus Harlan sat down. He wasn't in control. He was outnumbered. and completely, utterly exposed. He sat down like a man being invited to his own execution. His eyes were darting between us like he still believed. Somehow he could talk his way out. Emma slid a folder across the table. It was labeled March 2019, June 2025. Inside, everything. Emails, receipts, time-stamped photos, bank withdrawals, flight logs, the fake names he used for hotel check-ins, even a Valentine's Day dinner bill charged in Savannah, the same night he claimed to be sick. He didn't open the folder, just stared at it. "Do you know what this is?" Emma asked. His voice cracked. "Emma, just listen." "I am listening," she cut in, calm, sharp. "That's what you never expected, isn't it, for us to listen to each other?" I leaned forward. "Let me help you," I said, my voice quieter now. "Let me walk you through what you did, in case you've forgotten. 14 years with me, 10 with her. That's 24 years of combined lies. You had a son with me, a daughter with her. 2 lives, 2 families." I pulled out the photo album I'd brought, not a digital copy, a printed one. Every major holiday, birthday, and family trip were lined up side by side. Our anniversary dinner, next to a photo of him carving pumpkins with Emma's kids on the same weekend. "You lived 2 lives so well," I said. "We both believed we were the center of yours. You know what that makes you?" He didn't answer. "A magician," I whispered, "until your trick ran out." Emma leaned in. "I used to feel sorry for you," she said. "I thought you were a man stretched too thin, struggling with guilt. But you're not guilty, are you?" Marcus stared at her, quiet. "You're proud," she said. That's when he cracked. His face changed, sharpened, defensive. "I gave you both everything," he hissed. "A home, security. I never let you go without. Do you know how hard that was to maintain?" My stomach turned. "Oh," I said. "You want to thank you?" He stood up, red-faced now. "You both needed something I gave. It just happened." Emma stood too. "No, but you're the one who got caught by 2 women smart enough to end you." He paused. Something in his eyes flickered. Emma pulled out a flash drive, set it gently on the table. "This has copies of everything we've gathered." He stared at it like it was a bomb. "I wonder what your company's ethics committee would say," she mused. "Or the nonprofit board. Or, oh, I don't know, your mother?" "Don't do this," he whispered. I stood. "Oh, we're not doing anything yet. This is us being kind." He looked between us, for the first time, truly silent. "We're giving you 1 week," I said. 7 days to come clean. To everyone. To confess your double life. To resign. To vanish. Or..." Emma picked up the flash drive. "We make sure your name means nothing. Anywhere." Marcus didn't speak, didn't beg. He just sat down again. This time, slower, smaller, the mask had slipped. The man was hollow. Emma poured herself another glass of wine. I didn't stay to toast. I walked out that night into a cool Savannah breeze, my pulse steady for the first time in years. Marcus had a week, and we had each other. The first day, he disappeared. No calls, no texts, not to me, not to Emma. I watched the tracking app I'd quietly installed on his phone. He turned off location services by noon, deleted his LinkedIn, vanished from his office Slack, like a man trying to crawl back into anonymity. Emma called me that night. "He's running," she said flatly. "You think he'll actually do it?" I didn't answer right away, because honestly, I didn't know. Men like Marcus, men who build their entire identity around control, they don't surrender easily. They wait for weakness. But we weren't weak anymore. On day 3, we sent the warning. An anonymous tip to his firm's HR department. Just a whiff, phrased like concern about ethical exposure risk. No names, just fire-starting smoke. That's all it took. Emma got a call on day 4. It was Marcus. He didn't apologize. He negotiated. He said if we didn't go public, he'd transfer money, cover tuition and retirement accounts. Let's not burn everything down. Emma laughed so hard she had to put him on speaker so I could hear it. "You think this is about money?" she said. "You think this is about you?" Then came the rage. "You think you're the first women to be cheated on? Grow up. This isn't a movie. You're both acting like I murdered someone." Emma didn't flinch. "No," she said. "You just murdered trust, which, by the way, is a far slower death." Click. That was the last time we heard his voice. On day 6, a public resignation statement appeared on his company's website. Marcus Harlan has chosen to step down due to personal reasons. We knew what really happened. The firm found the trail. Not just the bigamy, but the financial discrepancies, reimbursement fraud. He didn't just lose his job, he lost his career. Emma called me that evening. She was sitting on her back porch, watching Claire chase fireflies. "You think he'll come back?" I sipped my tea and looked out at Micah's empty swing set. "Not to us. Good," she said. Then, quieter, "Thank you." I smiled, but it didn't quite reach my eyes. "Don't thank me," I said. "We just gave him the mirror, he shattered himself." We stayed on the phone that night, long after our kids went to sleep. Two women who'd never asked to know each other, bound forever by the same betrayal. And somewhere out there, Marcus Harlan was staring into a future with no home, no title, no excuses, and all he could blame was himself. The strangest part of revenge? It doesn't heal you, not right away. There's no soundtrack, no applause, no divine light when your betrayer falls. What comes is silence, and in that silence, you start to remember yourself, the version of you before him, the you who laughed too loud at movies, the you who made pancakes at midnight, who danced in the kitchen barefoot for no reason. It takes time, but she comes back. Emma and I kept talking, regularly enough that it started to feel normal. We shared updates on our kids, on job interviews. One Saturday, about 2 months after the confrontation, I drove to Savannah again. Micah played in the backyard with Claire and Caleb. Emma and I sat on the porch, our feet up, sipping lemonade like two war veterans finally allowed to rest. "He sent me a letter," she said. I was surprised. "What did it say?" "Just one line," she replied. "Tell Claire I'm sorry." I shook my head. "He still doesn't get it." She smiled faintly. "No, but I do." I watched our kids laugh, roll in the grass, chase a soccer ball with shrieking joy. "They're going to be okay." She nodded. "So are we." I moved to Asheville 6 months later. New job, fresh air, no ghosts. Emma visited once, then twice, then more. Our kids grew close, called each other cousins. Maybe one day they'll understand what that really meant. And me? I started writing again. I published a memoir anonymously. It did well. Women reached out, hundreds of them, telling me they'd lived it too, that our story wasn't just ours. It was theirs, and that was the real victory. Not ruining him, but rescuing ourselves. If someone once made you feel small, it wasn't you. You're not broken, you're not alone, and no matter how long it takes, you can come back. Just like I did. Just like we did. Thank you for walking this path with me. You were never just an audience, you were a witness. And that means everything.